One of the most unforgettable HBCU football games I ever attended was in 1980. It was the Grambling versus Alcorn State game in the old Red River Classic. But what I'll never forget was what happened before the kickoff. One of the bands was playing the national anthem. Everything was still, everyone was at attention. And then it got to that last line. And the home of the... Before they could finish, the entire Alcorn crowd yelled, "Praise!" I had never seen anything like that before in my life. For the folks at Alcorn, it's tradition. And that moment stuck with me. And it's one of the many reasons why I wrote the book, HBCU Sports 101, a guide to understanding Black college athletics. It's not just about stats and scores. It's about the stories, the culture, and the people who shape the HBCU sports tradition. You can get your copy now at kenrashad.com, where you can purchase signed bundles, the ebook, and more. Or if you prefer, it's also available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other places where books are sold. Just click the link in the description below, whether you're watching or listening. But if you love the culture, this book is... Hey folks, it's your boy, Ken Rashad. You know, for almost 30 years, I've been building media platforms that amplify who we are, our culture, our leaders, our legacy. Now, I may have started with HBCU Sports, but I've come to realize that the mission is bigger than just the final score on the scoreboard. It's about spotlighting people within our community, their purpose, and the journey that made them who they are. And now that work lives on my brand new platform, the Ken Rashad YouTube channel. This channel is an extension of what I've been doing for years. It's another space where our stories, our voices, and our experience can live. HBCU Sports continues to stand on its own, but this platform allows me to tell the stories that go far beyond the field. On the channel, you'll find two flagship shows, The Ken Rashad Show, a destination for real conversations around entrepreneurship and personal branding. This is where entrepreneurs of color sit down with me and break down how they built what they built, the strategy behind it, the missteps, and the practical tools you can use to take your own journey further. Then there's HBCU Titans, where we profile and highlight HBCU graduates who are leading in boardrooms, startups, media, tech, and community spaces. These conversations don't just inspire, they teach. They show you what's possible and how people actually got there. If you care about entrepreneurship, culture, or the HBCU legacy, this is where you need to be. So do a brother a favor. Visit the Ken Rashad YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, because we're not just creating content, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, this edition of HBCU Sports Live is brought to you by On the Groove Line. On the Groove Line is my podcast, Chris Stevens. I cover all things old school hip hop, R&B, jazz fusion, dance music, disco. I have interviews up. It's a great channel. Highly recommend you guys check it out. You can go to this link right here on thegrooveline.com, and you will be able to get all the old school R&B and music, black music news that you love and can stand, basically. So that is On the Groove Line. And welcome to HBCU Sports Live, folks.
My man, Chris Stevens.
Yep.
How's it go, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. Glad to be here. You know, we got a packed show for the folks today. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. And, you know, before we get started, we high tech around here because Ken Rashad is a tech wizard. We got a QR code now. So if you guys want to donate, you can click on that QR code with your phone and you can donate whatever you feel comfortable donating. It can be $1, it can be $2, it can be $10. But if you're balling like Mackenzie Scott, we'll take a quick and fast 20 million, you know, nothing too serious. And, you know, do it like that.
I don't know about high tech, but you know, we definitely had to make some upgrades. So yeah, welcome y'all to another edition of HBCU Sports Live. It's been a busy week and probably one of the busiest that I'm aware of, granted for basketball season, but I mean, it's just like a lot of stuff going on to the point to where when we have our discussions, you know, before the show starts, you know, there were some things we thought about covering and decided not to, and said, you know what, let's do this or maybe not. And I mean, there was a lot. So let's start with the fact that initially we were under the impression that there wasn't going to be an HBCU player in the NFL Combine. However, special teams being special as it is, I don't know how this came about. I mean, with respect to where we thought it wasn't going to be compared to the fact that we've got someone. Chris, I think you brought this to light, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is this Andrew Brown?
Yes, this is Andrew Money Brown, as he's known.
Andrew Money Brown.
As he's known on the campus of North Carolina A&T. And he apparently today, I mean, as we were going on the air, there were tweets about how he did not miss a single kick today in his combine appearance. So he's probably going to get picked up by somebody, maybe not drafted, but he'll probably be a UDFA that gets a fair shot, because we've seen some spotty kicking across the National Football League in the past couple years. So if you have a guy that's reliable and can kick it from distance, he's going to get a shot. So, but what I think what concerns me the most, and this is gonna sound horrible. I already know this. So let me say this, as I always do when I start talking. The opinions of Chris Stevens do not reflect those of Ken Rashad and the rest of the HBCU Sports staff. This is Chris Stevens talking. Delaware State's Chris Stevens talking, by the way. It's kind of dystopian for Black college athletics to have just one person being invited to the combine, and it's a white field goal kicker. I mean, listen, and no disrespect to Mr. Brown, because true to his word, he was money for the 4 years he was at A&T. He was money in his combine trial today. He deserves every bit of props that he's getting. But you're telling me that Curtis Allen, who was the Division II National Player of the Year, ran for darn near 2,500 yards, couldn't get an invite? We're talking about Chris Mosley, North Carolina Central's running back, who averaged 10 yards a carry for the bulk of the season, couldn't get an invite. We're talking about Kelvin Durham, the quarterback from Johnson C. Smith, who had a wonderful season running and passing, couldn't get an invite. And we ain't even talking about the defensive side of the ball, for crying out loud. So, I mean, Kelby Givens from Southern, why didn't he get a look? Why didn't he get an invite? So, to me, it's just diabolical that a white field goal kicker is representing HBCUs at the combine, when once upon a time, our guys were the hidden gems. I mean, think about it. I mean, Jimmy Smith is going into the Hall of Fame. There goes Kendrick.
Wow.
I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good. He's good. But he can't be the only one representing us in the combine, man. We got some hell to raise about that.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was all I was saying, man. We got to raise some hell about it.
One of the most unforgettable HBCU football games I ever attended. Kendrick, stop playing with the buttons.
Please.
Stop.
We gotta talk to him like a kid. You gotta talk to him like Alex.
Stop playing with the buttons. Okay, finish your point.
No, that wasn't my point. That, we have to, I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, as the old saying goes. So
yeah.
If we keep raising Cain about this, there's got to be, some movement somewhere. And respectfully to Mr. Brown, again, we have to have more representation than just the field goal kicker, a white field goal kicker at an HBCU.
I would love to know what the justification is for not getting someone like Kelby Givens in. I mean, I would like to know what these meetings look like, right, when they decide who gets a shot. And again, I mean, we're talking about tryouts here. We're talking about tryouts. Unless for whatever reason these individuals who aren't necessarily invited to the combines are people that they just automatically know are going to be given the opportunity to participate, but still. I would love to know what the logic is behind this. I don't profess to be an expert in the field, but some of the players and more that Chris mentioned, it's head scratching. Jared, any particular thoughts about the fact that we've only got one player going to the NFL Combine after it was initially believed that there weren't going to be any at all?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. Congratulations to the guy who got invited. I hope that he performs well and increases his stock. But it's really disappointing. I thought that we had some guys, the guy from South Carolina State. I'm blanking right now because there's a lot on my mind right now, so I'm not remembering names. But
it's Jared Washington, and don't forget, folks, our Jared Hoffman is joining us. He's our boots on the ground. Where them fans at? He is at the CIAA tournament, giving us the best coverage possible. So he's taking time out to chat with us. So we appreciate him for checking in.
Yeah, as we speak, I'm looking at the media room, making sure that the players don't come in. So because we just finished up the Virginia State Bluefield State game, which was a rematch of last year's men's championship. So we're setting up for the press conference for that. But as far as the guys at the NFL Combine, it's really disappointing that we only had one guy, get invited. I thought that, like you said, Jared Washington.
I think it is Gerard. My fault. So it is Gerard Washington.
I was trying to make sure I was pronouncing it right. So Gerard Washington, I thought he warranted a spot. I heard the name Kelby Givens. I thought he was a guy that could have warranted a spot. I thought Curtis Allen, even though there were no Division II guys across the country that got an invite, I thought that he was a guy. He just made history becoming the first HBCU player to win the Harlan Hill Trophy. I don't understand how he didn't warrant a selection, but we're proud of the guy that that found his way into the field, and I hope that he performs well.
You know what? This is probably somewhat off topic, but I am curious, Jared, to get your thoughts on the fact that since you're at the CIAA tournament, Shaw decided to let go not one but both of their basketball coaches for men's and women's. Any perspective on that news since you're there?
I think it came as a surprise. Both Shaw's men, women. I'm trying to, Lord have mercy, so many teams running through my mind right now. Shaw's women, I think, performed very well. So it was kind of shocking to see that their coach wasn't retained. But I think the men, kind of underperformed, based on. I mean, and it's not difficult to underperform when you got so many talented teams in the CIAA South. So I'm not sure where they're going to go from here, but it wasn't much of a surprise on the men's side. The women's side, it was quite a shock.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on. So we've got somebody participating in the combine, and it appears that there's going to be a historic first, as it was recently announced earlier this week that Wrigley Field plans to host its first ever HBCU baseball game featuring Prairie View and Alabama A&M. Now, it's a pity, it's a shame that our very own Kendrick Marshall isn't here, who is our in-house baseball expert and analyst. But he was, I'm sure, pretty excited to report this, considering that he's from Chicago, by the way. He's a Chicago native. And he is a supporter of the Sucky Cubs. And, but this, I had to put that shot in there. But this is, I'm kind of, this is a first, but I think there's something to be said about the venue. So what are you guys' thoughts about this news in an HBCU baseball game being played in Chicago of all places?
Well, I mean, our kids have, our schools have always drawn kids from Chicago. I mean, not just from an athletic standpoint, but from an academic standpoint. So it's not surprising. I think, honestly, when you think about the fields that are in Major League Baseball that have an aura, as the kids like to say. I mean, there's two that immediately come to mind because they're the oldest two left in the game. That's Wrigley Field and Fenway Park in Boston. And I think this is a good way for Major League Baseball to sort of kind of get itself back into the good graces of the black fans and players that they've sort of shunned over the last 20 or 30 years for, bonus babies that are teenagers, from white parts of the country and, going, deep into Latin America to get those players. And I mean, there are some black Latin American players, even though they may not consider themselves black. Shouts out to Godfrey. I know black, Papi. It's not the same. It's not the same, Poppy. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I think this is a good way for the SWAC to showcase their product, because they had a dynamite baseball tournament last year. It ended in a walk-off home run, as we all recall. So I mean, this is great. I mean, I would hope that a lot more cities with Black populations, like, for crying out loud, Philadelphia. I mean, we just had Mike Vick and Deshaun Jackson play at Lincoln Financial Field. So why can't Delaware State and, say, Lincoln play a game at Citizens Bank Park? I would like for the Houston Astros to have been able to reach out to Prairie View and Texas Southern and have them play a game at Minute Maid Park. So I mean, and of course, what's the name of the Rangers Stadium, that warehouse they play in now?
The something Field Life or something Life Stadium. I think it's Global Life Field or something. Field, yeah.
You could have had Texas Southern and Prairie View there, or you could have had anything. So I mean, this I hope this starts something. I really hope this starts something, that at least one HBCU game is played in a major league park at some point, at least 1 month during the season, at least.
And this shouldn't be confused with the MLB Classic that we've seen in previous years, which has been played in major league stadiums and major league venues. Wasn't there a modification made to the Andre Dawson Classic?
If so, I don't know about it.
Because I think I saw where Jackson State played Yale.
Yeah, and beat Yale.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm saying that shouldn't be confused with, or so there's the Andre. That's not the same thing as the MLB Classic, though, right?
If I'm not mistaken, because the MLB Classic is played at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama.
That's right.
And then of course we have the Ken Griffey Jr. Swingman, which of course is like the HBCU baseball college combine, so which is pretty cool. So I mean, baseball has always been in our blood. I mean, MLB just by and large forgot about us, but if they come back, they will find that we've got some good, young, talented baseball players. I mean, there was a young man who just signed with the New York Mets organization just recently. So, I mean, we're out here. Our kids are out here playing baseball. They deserve that shine. And I think this is, kudos to I'm not the biggest Cubs fan either, because their fans can be somewhat insufferable. But I'm glad that they're doing this, because somebody's got to take the mantle up. Somebody's got to, take ownership and say, all right, we got to sort of branch our game out a little bit. And this is a good way of starting it.
Okay. All right. So we've got another situation regarding Jackson State's football stadium. So apparently, and again, whatever plans that were in the works for the possibility of a new baseball stadium, excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying baseball, a football stadium for Jackson State, which I'm guessing was supposed to be a on-campus stadium. After, I guess, there had been some traction, but now there's been a new proposed plan that is, according to Kendrick Hitt, a legislative roadblock. It was House Bill 117 that was introduced by Representative Robert Johnson of Natchez, and which I guess there was a proposed legislation calling for a $40 million appropriation from the state to fund the Board of Trustees, the IHL, to serve as seed money to build for the construction of the project. But given things being the way they are, especially in red states, and especially as it is with HBCUs, apparently either it didn't get the votes necessary. I wasn't didn't get the necessary traction, and I guess for the most part it died. And this is not the first time that this has been discussed, because I know that there were people who talked about how, I guess, is it the University of Mississippi Medical Center? I think they've been wanting to use that land where the stadium sits as a possible extension, from what I recall. And that, again, has had its share of legislative red tape, if you will. And so as it stands right now, Jackson State will continue to play for the foreseeable future in the home that Daddy built. And I'm just saying.
Lord have mercy.
Anyway, moving on, right? Okay. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you guys get a chance, go to the HBCU Sports channel, and you will notice there was a interview that Chris Stevens did with LeVelle Moton. And while there were a number of nuggets that were headline worthy, because, you know, LeVelle Moton, he's just that type of dude. And I appreciate him because he never met him, but he doesn't hold back. And he is as genuine as it comes. I remember him even making a comment, and I never thought about this before. When you guys were on the subject of NIL, he made the comment about how he thought NIL money should be paid for by the NCAA as opposed to by the member schools. And I thought, well, wait a minute, you know what? And he presented the rationale for it, you know, saying that, you know, the NCAA, which by the way is a nonprofit institution, you know, $9 to $10 billion. Surely they can take a percentage of that money and pay the students as opposed to making the schools do it. But that even wasn't the major one. The major headline was the fact when he told the story, when Chris posed the question about the possibility of him ever leaving. He talks about how he turned down $1 million coaching job because he had promised the recruit several years before, or the recruit's mother, that if the opportunity ever presents itself for him to leave, are you going to leave? And he told her he would not. And lo and behold, the opportunity presented itself, I guess, while this guy was like in his third year playing for him. And he turned that $1 million coaching opportunity down because of the commitment that he made to the player and to the player's mom. So, Chris, you had the privilege of interviewing him, and I know it was a surprise to you because when he made the comment, you was like, "Wow," you know. So, what were your thoughts about that when you heard that in real time?
I mean, the offer didn't surprise me because, I mean, we're talking about a guy who has 4 MEAC championships. He has, you know, been probably one of the most, I guess you would say, you know, recognizable figures in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, not just from a basketball perspective, but as an overall, you know, steward. When you think about the MEAC, there are very few people that come to mind because LeVelle Moton's been there longer than just about anybody else. And I asked him about it because I did a quick little clip on the MEAC and more a while back when when they were in first place in the MEAC, and I said it's a shame that he's never had a chance to move up because he's one of those coaches that people would gravitate to regardless of whether it's an HBCU or a PWI. And people were like, "Oh, you're trying to get Coach Moton to leave the MEAC," and I'm like, I was just giving the dude a compliment. Like, y'all just, you know, you guys decide. I mean, media literacy is dead. I digress. But anyway, so I asked Coach, I was like, "Coach, I got some people upset. Can you please explain, you know," I was like, "You know, would you ever leave?" And he was like, "I can't say never," but he was like, "You know, I'm a man of my word." And he told me that story. And he said he had 15 other jobs in college. He had 3 NBA jobs. I mean, I don't know if they were head coaching jobs in the NBA, but I mean, an assistant coach in the NBA makes a pretty penny. They do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's had chances to move up, but he's remained loyal to North Carolina Central. He's remained loyal to Black college sports. He's remained loyal to the MEAC. But he brought up a great point. He says it doesn't end well for everybody. Yeah. Because everybody knows Big House Games was pushed out. And part of that was by a guy who wrote an op-ed, and we'll talk about him later on in the broadcast.
Right.
I mean, Greg Jackson, I told this story on the MEAC and more, but Greg Jackson at Delaware State was 2 wins away from setting the school record for wins. And it would have triggered a bonus. They fired that man in the middle of the season before he could reach the wins goal and his bonus. That's why he don't ever come around for nothing no more. He's like, I gave this school 15 years of my life and y'all kicked me out like this. I ain't coming back for squat. Yep. So I get what Coach is saying. I absolutely get what Coach is saying. And
no good.
And I just, I mean, again, it's probably one of the better interviews I've been able to do this year. I've done quite a few, to be quite honest with you. But, just being, I mean, he's a genuine human being. He's very affable, very articulate, very erudite. He can speak for himself. He's obviously very, well read and, just a likable person. And just, listening to him throughout the crux of that conversation, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is a dude who we are probably going to remember as one of the GOATs whenever he moves on, whether he moves on to another job or he retires from coaching, because I know, his kids are getting older. And I mean, he probably, want to, watch them grow up and different things of that nature. So I know he's probably, thinking about that part of his future as well. But he's definitely going to be one of the ones we remember, not just for the on the court stuff, but for the way he's been an ambassador and a statesman off the court.
You know what? I'm reminded of something that I said. I used to say quite frequently many moons ago, and I guess I even up to this point, and to a certain degree, I still think about it. But LeVelle Moton made the when he said that, it reminded me of something I used to always say when I used to say, "There's no such thing as loyalty when a contract is involved." But what I should have said, but there are always exceptions. LeVelle Moton is the exception, because in the greater scheme of things, and I think, I reported, I think, he makes upwards of about what, 360, 370, 380, somewhere around there, which, when you compare that to just the overall economy, that ain't bad, but when you compare it to coaching circles, Division I college athletics, that's considered kind of like on the low end. And I'm just saying, I mean, some would argue it still ain't bad for coaching, but when you look at some of these, when you look at what some of these coaches are getting paid right now at the college level, that would be kind of considered, D1, that would be considered kind of on the low end. But also to echo his point too about how these things don't end well, they don't, and it's not just limited to basketball, by the way. It didn't end well for Roderick Fobbs. He couldn't even coach the Bayou Classic, which would have been his final year. And I know some Grambling folks may not like me saying this, but you know what? It didn't end well for the legendary Coach Eddie Robinson either.
Ooh. I remember that.
Yeah, it got a little messy. So he ain't lying. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. All right. I got some good news and I got some bad news. Mississippi Valley is going to be playing next year in the Chicago Football Classic. Bad news, they don't know who against. And I have to ask the question, why do these things always happen to Valley?
Oh boy, here you go.
Because Valley made news last year. Remember, Chris? They were supposed to be playing FAMU in Atlanta.
The Georgia Football Classic.
Yeah, man. And at least they knew what they were going to play against. But it didn't happen. And now they're going to play in the Chicago Football Classic. They just don't know who they're going to play against. Chris, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, the good news is this ain't like WWE where a person goes out to the ring and, they issue an open challenge and then the wrestler who comes out is obviously going to kick their butt and then they try to back out of the open challenge. So this feels like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Valley just has obscenely bad luck or there's just something going, haywire with these classics, because, I mean, we do need to talk about that. Because, I mean, the Circle City Classic looked like a high school football game last year in terms of attendance, like a JV game on a Monday afternoon type of deal. So, I mean, we probably need to start talking about how, the economy is just not ripe for classics anymore. I mean, for the most part. I mean, you can make the argument that the Las Vegas Classic is an exception because, but you had two historic programs. You had Jackson State and Grambling. So I think Valley, it's just. I mean, I don't know if people have just if their reputation precedes them in some respects, but it's very unfortunate because I don't know who's going to step up because believe it or not, even though it is only the end of February, another opponent would definitely be really last minute. So the question is, who's going to step up? I mean, I would think it would have to be an HBCU, but who's going to, because you got to remember the CIAA has gone to an 8-game schedule now, so they can't just kick a conference team off the schedule. The SIAC already had an 8-game schedule, so they can't kick a conference team off the schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know if any SWAC team that they were playing is going to want to move, especially if it was a home game. I don't know if anybody wants to give up a home game to go to Chicago. So it's like, stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I feel bad for Valley, but I don't know where they go from here. It's very unfortunate, but I would think that a lot of these, folks that put on these classics need to be smarter about who they invite and who they can get. Like if you know that you can't get, we'll say, I think the programs that draw the most interest now amongst D1 HBCUs are Jackson State, Grambling, Southern, Prairie View, FAMU. From the SWAC, I'll say. From the MEAC, it's probably Dell State, Norfolk State, and Howard. That's it. That's the list. Well, actually, probably South Carolina State. Obviously, South Carolina State, they're the 2-time defending champions. And North Carolina Central, too. So, yeah, I think the only team that probably wouldn't draw that much interest is Morgan State because we saw Morgan State go out to the Circle City Classic and it just nobody went. So, I just don't know, if Classics, Valley looks, it looks bad for Valley, but at the same time, Classics just ain't what they used to be anymore.
Great point. And I guess there's a part of me that thinks too, though, and I don't know who made the announcement, but why would you announce this and you not even necessarily know who the other opponent is going to be?
Right.
I understand you got to work these things out, but I don't know if this was Valley doing it or someone or the organizers of the Chicago Football Classic, but why would you make this announcement and not indicate who the opponent is? Because, but
I can tell you now.
What?
I can tell you now, if it's Lincoln or Missouri, nobody's going to that game.
Okay.
Nobody's going to that game.
Here's a solution. Given what we know now about the economics of college football and everything that we got to pay these players and all this other stuff. To the organizers of the Chicago Football Classic, here's an idea. Something I just thought about. You may or may not know this, but many of us HBCU folks have a pretty strong appreciation for Chicago State.
Yes.
And given the dynamics and the fact that the program is just starting, a lot of HBCU alumni from Chicago, from the greater Chicago area. And I know that when we had Bobby Rome, Chicago State head football coach, on, it was appreciated, and the people who were streaming with us at the time live appreciated him because we knew what he was about, and we kind of we appreciated the fact of what he was about to step into. To the organizers of Chicago Classic, you know what you could do? Work out a way so that Chicago State is the team every year, and you feature an HBCU opponent. Work it out. It's a classic. Chicago State gets its money, whatever it takes to get that done. And you host an HBCU to come in. And because right now, you've got to pay 2 schools. You got to make it worth 2 schools' while to make that trip to Chicago. So make Chicago State the home team, obviously, or whatever the case may be. And then whatever it took for you to pay 2 schools, maybe you can take a portion of that and just pay 1. Make it worth their while. And you've got you an annual event. Because now if you make it worth the school's while to come, they'll come. But given the expenses involved with these games now, and these schools have got to pay these players, it's not going to be like it used to be. So just something to consider. All right. So moving on. And I think a lot of you guys, we got to talk about this because Chris, for whatever reason, What's so funny?
It's just the way you introduced it.
For whatever reason, this news didn't quite go like I think many expected. And I can't say that I'm surprised, but I didn't think it would go off like this. And I don't know if Chris, but there are literally some folks here who are saying, well, first of all, the news. It was announced yesterday that Grambling and Mickey Joseph, coach at Grambling State, have agreed to a 2-year contract extension. And of course, there are some additional option years and so forth in that contract. And some may say, but Ken, he went 7-5 last year, had the first winning season since what, 19 or 17 or whatever it was. And how dare you guys have an audacity to be upset about Mickey Joseph getting a contract extension? And in most normal situations, a 7-5, when you put in consideration what this team or what the program did prior to, yeah, it would. Now, I'm of the belief, I don't have a problem with the contract extension because I think you have to kind of look at the season in and of itself and for what it was. This man won 7 games using 4 quarterbacks. 4. QB4 wasn't even supposed to see the grass this year. And he had to come in and he was a walk-on. And because of injuries. And he managed to win. Now, I get it. And so when you look at those 7 wins, there are people who are going to, and I kind of looked at it. But still 7 wins. And a lot of the Grambling folks have a problem. It's not that he won 7. It's the quality of the wins. And of those 7 games, only 2 of them came against teams with winning records. And then of those 2, one of those 2 teams was a Division II team. And some argue you probably shouldn't have won that. That was against Kentucky State, who, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, was a playoff team last year.
Yep.
Division II playoffs.
D2 playoff team. The
other program was against Jackson State. A quality win, quality opponent. But when you look at all the other wins, they were against teams with either losing records or non-winning records. So that is the reason why there is a lot of uneasiness or unreadiness with a lot of the Grambling faithful, because given how this run has gone up to this point, there just aren't a whole lot of people happy with this contract extension. Again, I don't have a problem with it. I would have given him the extension, considering I just feel like this. You may not be happy with the quality of wins, but I'd much rather be 7-5 than to be 5-7. And I will just end it there. Chris, your chance. Your turn.
If Coach Joseph is reading the media, I hope he remembers that cooler heads prevail and calmness is a superpower. Like, I hope he's not paying attention to these folks in these Facebook comments, because, boy, these folks is hot. These folks is mad about Mr. Joseph getting that extension. But here's the thing. We can't be picky. I mean, granted, you can look at the way that last season ended for Grambling. I mean, it started, with, a gift of a W against Kentucky State. How the Alcorns, the Bethune-Cookman fight, that fiasco, reflected poorly on the team and different things of that nature. And that was just the fact that team finished 7-5 with all this stuff. You think about it. The Kentucky State controversy.
Yep.
The unfortunate injury to Zay T-Set.
Yep.
Having to go through all these quarterbacks. Then, squabbling up with Bethune-Cookman. The fact that this team finished 7-5 honestly leads me to believe that Coach Joseph can coach. It's just a matter of him having all the right pieces in place to do so. And I think what's probably going to be hard for him is that the West has gotten infinitely better.
Yeah,
with the two Texas teams. With the two Texas teams. I mean, I mean, you look at it, Chris Dishman led Texas Southern to a winning record. And this was a dude I thought had no business coaching black college football.
Same
here
here.
he is. But here he is, 6-5. Tremaine Jackson in his first year went to the Celebration Bowl.
Yep.
So you got to look westward for, Grambling's best competition at this point, because I don't know what Southern is going to look like in Marshall Faulk's first year. And I mean, this is a team that went 1-10 last year, so I don't think they're going to make the Delaware State leap, because I don't think Marshall Faulk has the same tenacity that Deshaun Jackson did. Like, listening to Deshaun Jackson, this was a dude that, everybody was like, oh, he's so unserious. How is he going to coach? How's he going to be a football coach? That man sat in that press conference and said, we're not going 1-10 no more. And lo and behold, Delaware State won 8 games for the first time since 2007. So some guys just have the aptitude to coach. I don't know if Marshall Faulk has that yet. We had to wait for Deshaun Jackson to get on the field to see. Like when they hung tough with University of Delaware, I said, okay, we got something here. And shouts out to Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods. Greatly appreciate him for checking in as always. Were people actually mad? Would they rather have a search for a head coach in March and have the portal open back up and all these players leave? There you go.
Yeah,
that's another reason people got to be quiet about it, because what good coach are you going to find in March?
Yeah. So and again, I'm not. Again, I'm on record. I don't have a problem with the contract extension, but having had the conversations with the Grambling folks that I have, and I've witnessed some of these conversations too. A lot were not crazy about the timing, because his initial contract ended on December 31st. And up until yesterday, even though they made the official announcement, and even though I'd made it clear that his contract was going to be extended, I think, last month, people were wondering, well, yeah, but what took you so long to make it official, if you will? So I don't know. I think I will say there were likely some people who were like literally doing this, had their fingers crossed, like, maybe something to happen and he won't come back, but that would have been disastrous.
And at this stage in the game, listen.
Yeah, that would have been disastrous. So no, there you have it. I just thought it was kind of funny to see some of these comments that were being made, because in many instances, when a contract is extended, it's understandable. And and for people on the outside looking in, 7-5, when you put in consideration what was done the year before in the state of the program before Mickey arrived, yeah, you can make that argument. But that's kind of where we are. Okay, so on to our off topic, and this too. This too was something we had to debate, and finally, and I'll give credit to Kendrick for coming up with the idea. And there's our man, Jared. All right. So this is our off topic for today. And for those of you who don't know, we're HBCU Sports. And of course, we talk about the news of the moment and the review of everything that happened this past week and all that other good stuff. But then, of course, because we are intellectually sound, and of course, we feel that we are capable of talking more than just about sports, there are those times where we either feel the need to be silly or serious about whatever the issue may be, but this ain't got nothing to do with sports. But it does have something to do with a person who is associated with sports, and that is all of this talk surrounding one Stephen A. Smith of Winston-Salem State University, a graduate, if you will. And all of this talk about Stephen A. Smith for president. And we have to ask the question, because as of late, and now granted, this topic in and of itself isn't anything new, but as of late, I think Stephen A. Smith has been on this kind of like a media tour. And I think he was on ABC News recently, or on ABC recently, in which the question was asked, are you running for president? And according to him, I think he said something along the lines, I'd have to seriously consider it. And according to him, it's due in large part to current politicians who have privately contacted him and said, yeah, you should consider running and all this other stuff. And even he has admitted that he would love to be on a debate stage. Now, I take it, maybe that's what he wants to do. He ain't necessarily serious about being president. He just wants to get on a debate stage because debating is what he does. And he wants to show his political acumen about the possibility of running for president. That's the way I see this. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the possibility of Stephen A. Smith being president of the United States?
Hell no. To the no. Hell no. Listen, let me tell you guys something. A country that overlooked a beautiful, brilliant former prosecutor who locked away sex offenders, who was the tiebreaker vote for a lot of the stuff that we got to enjoy before Trump took it all away. If this country didn't vote for her, what the hell Stephen A. Smith thinks these people going to vote for him? It's not working. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I mean, because, the only way he could run is a Democrat, because if he tries to run as a Republican or independent, they're going to squash him. I can tell you right now, Jill Stein wants to be the only hand in the hen house when it comes to being, a Green Party type. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only way Stephen A. Smith I could see running is as Democrat. And the only reason, he might have a chance as Democrat is because the Democrats are eating themselves alive. I mean, people are so upset that Gavin Newsom is not who they thought he was. There are so many other people that are like, oh, Kamala shouldn't run again. And it's like, well, you got to have somebody in 2028. And Stephen A. Smith was like, let me be that somebody in 2028. And the answer is still no. It's still no.
Right. Jerry, you got any thoughts on this?
Hey, man, let's do it. Stephen A. for president. Hey, man, look, the gambling industry is as big as it's getting right now. Let's do some prop bets. Let's do an over-under how many times he says blasphemous during the debate. Let's do it. And let's see if he ever says, hey, look, this candidate right here, he's no scrub. This guy, he's a 2-time senator. He's a 1-time governor. This guy can ball. This guy can ball. I want to see it happen.
This guy can legislate.
I'll tell you right here. This man can represent the representatives.
Represent the representatives.
Oh, man. Y'all know good and well we're not taking this seriously, man. Ain't that serious about it. Now, if he does run for president, we still not gonna take it seriously.
Nope.
Look, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't know. Look, I'll remember this, and feel free to disagree with me if you want to. But there was a time that I didn't think it was possible for Donald Trump to be president. Damn. Think about that for a moment. I mean, am I the only one? When back 8 years ago, or however long that first run, did we honestly think that Donald Trump was going to be president of the United States? No.
Be president? I didn't think he was going to run.
And look what happened. Look what happened. Look what's happening. So, I mean, are we really going to dismiss this? Now, I personally don't think he's going to do it, because if the reports of this $100 million contract that he has with ESPN, was it like 10 million? It's something, whatever it is that he's making, it was just outrageous. I think I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. He's not going to give up that money to run for president. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I think the only thing that we really need to ask ourselves is just how far this country has fallen. If, for one, the guy that's in office won twice, and now that people are like, oh, the Democrats need a celebrity to run against, instead of If everybody had just picked Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on November 5th, 2024, we would not be having this discussion. But no, people just had to put their hand on the stove, as my grandmother used to say. You put your hand on the stove if you want to, you F around and get burnt. And everybody's hands burnt to a crisp right now. Because, I mean, whether the people who choose to believe it or not, they're just as affected as we are. It's like the old Lyndon Baines Johnson quote. If you convince the poorest white man that he's got just a little more than the colored man, then you won't notice that you're robbing his pockets blind. They just haven't caught on yet. And if they haven't caught on after 60 years, chances are they never will. So, I mean, everybody just looked at Kamala Harris and, just said, okay, here's this, here's this woman who's accomplished, affable, smart, obviously attractive. I mean, because, not that it matters, but I mean, everything about, the guy in charge right now is ugly. Everything. His personality, his manner of speech. I mean, the fact that, his spray tans ain't spray tanning like they used to. So, I mean, Kamala Harris is, I think that's what it is, that people were so upset that a black man, Barack Obama, told them what to do for 8 years. They just said, oh, we're just going to blow this whole thing up. And you can't, people are willing to cut their nose off to spite their face. The only thing you can do is take the knife from them. They just going to go back and get another knife. So that's where we are at this point.
Wow. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this. I still don't, not necessarily because Stephen A. wants to be president. I don't think he wants to be. But then again, I was of the belief that Donald Trump didn't expect to win. I honestly think he ran just for the sake of running, but I don't think he actually thought he would be elected president. Anyway, I'm looking at some of these comments and
yeah, I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, if you want to be that stupid and think that, that's your choice. I mean, you got freedom of thought, no matter how dumb it is. But I digress.
Yeah, so, gentlemen, closing thoughts.
If I have to vote for Stephen A. Smith in 2028, I will. But I hope I don't have to vote for Stephen A. Smith in 2028. That's all I got.
This guy, your ball. This right here. He did it as a governor. He's done it as a politician. He's done it. This guy can ball. This guy can legislate. This guy can represent the representatives. Man, let's do it.
Oh my God. Okay. And on that note, Chris Stevens, go ahead and do that thing you do, man. Let's get out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in to this edition of HBCU Sports Live. We greatly appreciate y'all as always. Don't forget, if you click that lovely little QR code on the corner right hand, or might be your right hand, my left hand, whatever, it's at the corner of the screen. You put your phone up to it. You can donate there. You can also go through the Zelle app, type in donate at hbcusports.com. Donate there. You can also go to Cash App, type in $ HBCU Sports, donate there. And we also have a website you can go to, hbcusports.com/donate. And don't forget to follow us on all manners of social media. We're on the Musty app. That's Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. Just search for HBCU Sports and you will find us. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel too. Become a level 1 or level 2 member with a neat and tidy sum of $4.99 a month, where you can get all the Black College sports news that's fit to print and broadcast. As we like to give it to you, as our guy Jared Hoffman is. We could pay for Jared Hoffman to be at the CIAA in Baltimore, basically, which is a great worthwhile investment, if you ask me. So that's how you get in contact with us. That's how you donate. Y'all enjoy your weekend.
He's Jared Hoffman. He's Chris Stevens. I'm Ken Rashad. And see you guys next time. God bless you.